What's up guys, I'm Ben Roth from Cboys TV, and this is my 2018 Ford Raptor.
So if you guys are new to the channel or you haven't seen before, we actually built another truck for the Cboys that was kind of at the end of last summer. And then when I saw on the video that Ben picked up this Raptor, I got really excited for him and I really wanted to be a part of it. And then literally maybe a couple hours later, Ben shoots me a text and says, hey, what can we do? So I was already talking to a couple different wheel vendors trying to figure out what we were gonna do to build the Raptor and kind of got this whole process started. Now, since last time they came to our shop, I figured why wouldn't we go to their shop and build it? Now, obviously, it gets a little more difficult when you don't have a lift and stuff like that, but I was able to convince Banker to throw some of the tools in the Archon K350, drive it 8 hours into Minnesota, and then kind of get this build started. Now, obviously being a Raptor, it comes from factory being a fairly capable vehicle, and we didn't want to really mess with that suspension too much. And now you guys know us as being big, giant lifted truck guys. You've seen the 8-inch lifts that we've done before, the 26s, the 14Ys, and all that stuff. But this is a Raptor. You don't do that to a Raptor. So we actually opted for a 2.5-inch ready lift. They call it like an SST leveling kit, but it is very similar to a lift kit in the fact that they give you both front components and rear components. On this truck specifically, because we're kind of going for that Baja and pre-runner style, we didn't opt to install that rear kit because it would have given the truck basically just too much rake unless you were actually towing something with it. And since primarily this is going to be a daily driver, we didn't want to have that rear end be so much taller. So we installed the front strut spacers, which is why we had to bring our spring compressor and take that all apart, you know, pull apart your stock strut assembly, slap those on there, and then reinstall it. And actually overall, for being a kit that we installed on the ground, it was a fairly simple process and definitely something that if you're a guy who doesn't have a lift, you can still get this done in your own shop. For the wheels on here, right away as soon as Ben got a hold of me, I knew that 1552 would be a great option. So if you have seen Ken Block's rally cars, you've probably seen that he runs 1552s, and 1552 has made car wheels for quite a while, so they're no stranger to the wheel world. However, when it comes to trucks, they actually just recently released an entire HD lineup. So that's going to be their truck lineup. They've got 4 different models, a couple different finishes. You're going to see like your typical black. They've also got a bronze finish that looks really nice. And then with the the gray paint on here and just the metallic, I thought that this black finish we went with on the Traverses was going to tie in really nicely and kind of keep that murdered out look. So that's why we went with the Traverses. And it was pretty much a no-brainer. As soon as we saw a couple pictures of these, it was like, yep, those are the wheels we want. It's very, very similar to, Ken Block actually has a Raptor, and his truck looks pretty similar to this one. So we wanted to kind of just use that as inspiration to build this vehicle. And that kind of ties right into the tire selection too. Obviously, we've worked with Nitto for a very long time. They make excellent tires that actually last quite a while. So it made sense to go with the Trail Graps. This is the full-blown MT from those guys. So they've got a whole lineup from all-terrain tires to mud tires, hybrids in between. And this is just gonna basically make sure that Ben doesn't get stuck anymore. Rounding out at the front of the truck, even though it's not required to use a bumper to fit this wheel and tire setup, because the tires are a 35 by 12.5 and the wheels are 0 offset, so you're not really increasing the size too much over factory. You get a little more stance since it's a 0 versus your stock positive 34 offset. It's going to push those out a little bit. We've obviously got wider tires on there, but we wanted to really kind of clean up the front of the truck and give it a more aggressive stance. And to do that, Ben opted to go with the ADD bumper and then slapped a 20-inch light bar in the middle of that as well. So when it comes to the side steps on the truck, obviously a lot of Raptor guys are leaving those on there. We actually opted to pull them off because not only does it give it a little bit higher of an appearance, it just kind of cleans up the side of the truck. And now that everything's all done and ready to go, I think it's time we take this thing out and thrash it around.